For this homework problem, we're first asked to kind of write out our approach to setting it up in Excel in order to find the ideal solution using Solver. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is write out our objective, decision variables, and constraints, and I'm going to pull this information from the homework problem instructions. So the hospital is evaluating the feasibility of using 3 different technologies and is trying to figure out what would make the most profit. So right away we know that our objective is to maximize profit. And then because the hospital is trying to decide how many of each of the 3 technologies to use, we know what our decision variables are. Right? So we know that it's the number of Da Vinci robots, the number of Gamma knives, and the number of PET scanners. So next we're going to write out our constraints, and I'm just going to pull this right out of the table. So this is very similar to the door manufacturing problem. So our constraints are the total staff time, which has to be less than or equal to 2,000 hours, the maintenance time, which has to be less than or equal to 1,500 minutes, and our computer resources, which has to be less than or equal to 3,000 minutes. So now that we've written out our objective, decision variables, and constraints, we're ready to start setting up the problem. So now I'm going to scroll down. So here I'm going to write our objective, which is to maximize. And then our decision variables are going to go in row 18, so that's Da Vinci, Gamma knife, and PET scanner. And I'm just going to write the profit contribution here. So I'm pulling this directly from the table. So 2,000, 3,500, and 2,000. And I'm just going to write profit here. And now I'm going to write out our constraints. So our first constraint is total staff time. Our second is maintenance. And our final one is computer resources. So just pulling this out of the table, it's going to go across the row. And then I'm going to write out the constraints here. So remember, everything is less than or equal to, so I can just fill this in. So total staff time is 2,000, maintenance is 1,500, and computer resources is 3,000. And if you want to, you can write out hours and minutes here. And then the last part, here's our solution cell. So for now, you can put in any number you want. So I'm just going to put in 1, 2, 3. And now we're going to write in our sum product formula. So I'm going to put it into cell G19. So sum product. Our first array will be profit. So cell C19 through E19. And then our second array is our solution set. So it's important that you lock this. So our sum product formula is sum product C19 through E19, comma C25 through E25, with the second array, our solution set, locked. And then I'm going to drag this down and just delete this. So now it's filling in our constraints. So right now this is set to currency, so I'm just going to change it so that they are set as numbers. Okay. So now we're going to use Solver in order to figure out what's the ideal solution set here in order to generate the most profit here. So I'm going to go to Data, Solver. Okay. So the first thing is our objective. So it's set to cell G19. We want to make sure it's set as max. And then we're going to change our variable cells, the solution set here, which is C25 through E25. And now we have 3 constraints. So the first constraint I have is that our solution set, C25 through E25, has to be an integer. You can't have half of a Da Vinci robot, that they are greater than or equal to 0. So you can't have a negative robot. And that the constraints, so the cells G21 through G23, oops, just leave that, are greater than or less than or equal to the I cells here. I'm going to leave it as simplex, and then I'm going to hit solve. Okay, so you're going to get a solver results box. So I'm going to have keep solver solution and click on answer report and then click on OK. So I'm just going to click over to our answer report. So here you can see that our original values were 1, 2, 3, and that generated a profit of 15,000. But Solver tells us the ideal solution is actually to have 0 DaVinci robots, 60 Gamma knives, and 0 PET scanners, and that will give us a maximum profit of 210,000. So I'm just going to click back on our Excel sheet so you can see that. And it also meets all of the constraints, right? So you're only using 720 hours as total staff time, 1,500 minutes of maintenance, and then 1,500 minutes of computer resources. So then I'm just going to write out our conclusion. So in order to reach a maximum profit of 210,000, the hospital should use 0 robots, 60 Gamma knives, and 0 PET scanners. And then if you're using this template, but for some reason you're not getting the same answer, I've also included screenshots of the solver input, so you can view that by scrolling down to row 50. So here you can try to double check your solver input against the screenshot to figure out why you might not be getting the same answer of 210,000. And that's how you set up homework problem 1.